are going to come out and bite us.
Dude, we're a long way from Florida.
Alligator, it's too cold for an alligator.
You never know, man. They're migrating up here for the summer.
Dude, I tell you what, I'm seeing these people float down this creek. I'm like, you guys are crazy. I'm like,
you just can't get like the Florida out of your head that like a gator might be in here.
No, well, no, it's not even that. I grew up like 40 miles south of here, so I'm like looking at the creek thinking like cottonmouths, water moccasins. You know?
Oh, dude. So where your brother is at? That's where you grew up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking you guys are from Florida and he moved here.
No, so I was born in Florida and then raised just like 40 miles south of here, man. It's super rad, like 600 acres in like South Tennessee and middle of nowhere, and super cool to, you know, kind of have that in my life and then do the military thing, move back to Florida, got married and all that stuff. It was cool. Good time.
Awesome, man. Well, we started rolling about a minute ago.
Sweet.
That's how I do it with all my guests, dude.
That's a good intro.
I surprise them.
That's a good intro.
But I'm just gonna set that down there. Yeah, but anyways, you guys know the deal. Welcome to this week's show, the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, the Crazy Gentleman, and this week's show is brought to you, as always, by Bare Knuckle Performance, bareknuckleperformance.com, home of all the best parts made in America for your choppers, FXRs, Dynas, Sportsters, Baggers, Indians, you name it. Paul's got your back.
Hey, can Paul make Triumph parts?
I don't know if he does Triumph parts. He does some cool stuff.
Paul's amazing. Yeah, he does. Nobody does Triumph stuff. I'm the only guy in the world that makes Triumph stuff.
This is the Triumph King right here. We're going to introduce him in a second here. Also brought to you by Lexan-Moto.com for all of the best audio and communication devices inside your helmet. Punch in the code word CRAZY at checkout for 15% off. And Simbita custom knives on Instagram, SimbitaCustomKnives.com for the best outdoor hunting and cutlery knives in the world. And the bumpshopbackroom.com. Also check out the Bump Shop Diaries on Instagram. It's the only place to get the Crazy Gentleman merch right now. Also check out Rodney's Vintage Finds and his new hardtail blend of coffee. Also shout out, as always, to my producer, Whiskey Eye, because I'm not a tech guy. I don't do any of this stuff. I'm just the idiot behind the camera, or in front of the camera, and recorder. Anyways, our guest today, Weems Motor Co., man.
What's up, buddy?
Out of Florida.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Down in the Sunshine State, where oranges grow and alligators live.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I mean, it would be incredible. Has there ever even been an alligator in Tennessee? How far north do they go?
Dude, I have no clue. I'm like, you don't want them here.
Do they even get to Georgia?
Possibly. I mean, they're in Louisiana, which is kind of like parallel to Georgia, so maybe there's some swamps in Georgia. You don't want those kind of like dinosaurs lingering around you. It's like they're all over Florida, so you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful.
They are dinosaurs, though.
They are.
Quite literally, we're amongst dinosaurs.
Legitimately. If you've ever seen one up close and personal, you're like, yeah, that's a dinosaur. So yeah, don't mess with them. Don't mess with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Dinosaur. Watch it. Watch it. Be on your toes.
Oh, man. Yeah, and also for a little reference, we're here at Tennessee Motorcycle Music Revival at Loretta Lynn's ranch, and this is her beautiful backyard creek.
It's amazing.
Freaking awesome.
Dude, I'm so happy to be here. This is my first time coming. I don't know if you've been here before.
I've been here a bunch.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is like my favorite. I love it.
Like I said, I grew up like south of here, and just coming in, driving in, I was like, childhood memories, just because the landscape is very familiar to me. And I was like super stoked to be invited to the Bling Cycle Invitational. Mr. Bill Dodge invited me out, and I've said, anytime that I get invited to a show, I'm always going to say yes. As much as I'm able to be there, schedule-wise, I'm going to be there because I build Triumphs. And, up in that barn right now, every motorcycle in there except for mine is a Harley Davidson. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I like to represent something different. People walking through the barn, you see V-twin after V-twin after V-twin. And I like to be the guy that's like, oh, wait. there's something different here. So it's
Yeah.
like I capture those guys. But
Dude, you don't even just do it different either. Like, oh, there's a Triumph engine in there. Like, it is bizarro, dude. It's a different motorcycle than I've ever seen anywhere. Like,
there's a lot going on there.
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. So it's I tell people, they come up and they're just like, and I'm like, how do I explain this? And I'm just like, all right, let me just explain this. Alcohol fueled, mechanically fuel injected, supercharged 1956 Triumph pre-unit drag bike. And just say that, it's like, okay, that kind of encapsulates like all of what it is. But then there's so many more details to it.
So much more, man. Yeah. I don't even know all the details, and this is the second we stayed at Mama Tried together.
Yeah.
I got to drool all over the bike at Mama Tried.
That's why I had spots. I had to wipe all that crap. No,
you're like, dude, it didn't rain, did it?
That's what it is. People were crying tears over my motorcycle.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
But and like just last night, I was looking at it and taking pictures with the lights on in the barn.
Yeah.
And there was so much that I still didn't see. It's one of those bikes you could look at 100 times and still see stuff, you know?
Yeah, the inspiration behind it, I tell people, is number one, I was invited to Born Free 13 as an invited builder. And when you go to Born Free, you know that you're walking into an environment where it's number one motorcycles across the board. In any other environment, every motorcycle that sits on their field is a first place win. And you don't not bring your A game to that environment. But I also knew, I've been to Born Free before, and in that place, I call it a sea of chrome and glitter. When you walk out on that grass at Born Free, everything is like shiny and sparkly and beautiful. And I was like, you know what? I want to do something a little bit different outside of the box of Born Free. I want people to give their eyes a rest. And I'm not looking for that first look. I'm looking for that second look. That person that looks, oh, that's different. It's not shiny, so it's not pretty, or it's not whatever. But then they stop, and it's the second glance where they notice all the crazy details going on with the bike. And that's where I kind of said, every stupid idea I've had for performance or design for a Triumph, I'm going to throw it all at this one bike. And it was not an easy build. Number one, every builder that was part of Born Free 13, we were the post-COVID build group. So we only had 8 months to build our bikes. And then on top of it, I live in Tampa, Florida. Born Free's in LA. I'm already losing a week and a half of build time just to transport the bike across the country. So I built the bike in 7 months, but it was 7 months of 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. It was a lot of work, yeah.
Damn. Yeah. This was your first Born Free invite?
As an invited builder. So the year prior to that, Mike Davis had reached out to me. He had seen some of my stuff in magazines and said, hey, would you be willing to bring a bike out to just display? And I didn't have any bikes because going through health situations and stuff, I had sold everything. And so Mike said, hey, would you be willing to bring something out? And I had to go to my wife and say, can I build a bike? And it was all because of my health situations that were going on. And she said, as long as you feel like you can do it, let's do it. And so I approached it. I said, hey, let's build a super rad, pre-unit Triumph. And it was a David Mann replica. And halfway through the project, I got in touch with a local nonprofit in Tampa, and they build tiny homes for teens who have aged out of the foster care system. And I was talking to them, and I was like, what do I have to offer you guys, or what do you guys need? And they said, well, really, we just need more funding to be able to build more homes to get kids off the streets. And I was like, I got no money. I've been spending all my money building a motorcycle for this show out in California. And I said, screw it, you can have the motorcycle. It's yours. Raffle it off, raise some money. The bike ended up raising $106,200.
Oh my God.
Yeah, super rad. The bike, the person who won the bike thought it was too nice to own. He was afraid he'd mess it up and ended up donating it to Barber Motorsports Museum. Barber had it on display for about a year, and then the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA requested the motorcycle for display for 2 years. So currently it's in LA on display at the Peterson. And so just a very humbling experience to to build that bike, knowing or thinking that it might be the last motorcycle I ever built in my life, and throwing everything I had at it, you know, every penny I could scrape by to make it exactly what David had painted in that painting in 1983. Yeah,
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you think that that was going to kick a career off like it has?
No, because I didn't think there was a career because of my health conditions. I mean, I was having seizure after seizure, and, you know, I didn't know what it was going to come out of it. So I was just like, I'm building the best bike I could possibly build. And then the connection with the nonprofit was amazing. And then just to see how much that it did pick up was just like, wow, magazine after magazine, interview after interview. And it was just like super rad to be a part of it. And that springboard into the next build and then into the next build. And, you know, none of those bikes were customer contracted builds or consigned builds or anything like that. It was all motorcycles that I wanted to build. And I knew that it could be my last bike, because I think that's how we should all approach life is, God, we don't know when we're going to go, man.
Right.
Like, seriously, we could be right here at this campsite, you know, and have a heart attack. You don't know. You never know. So, man, live life to the fullest. Do the best you possibly can at whatever you're doing, whether you're, you know, leading a podcast, writing a book, or a tattoo artist. Do everything you do, man, to the best of your ability. So when you leave this earth, what people remember you for was being excellent at everything. Don't half-ass stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Right.
Because you're gonna walk away and you're like, I half-assed that. I'm like, I could have done better at that. You know, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Nobody likes that guy.
Yeah, that's solid advice, man. If you could give your younger self, like if you could give your younger self advice, what would it be? Like your 16-year-old self about to hit the real world, you know? Like what advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, 16. We're all stupid at 16, man. We're all
Complete idiots, dude, especially guys.
Yeah.
Total morons, dude.
I have a degree in psychology, and I understand that the brain is not fully developed until you're around 24, 25 years old. So,
yeah.
And the part of the brain that doesn't fully develop is the part that helps you make wise decisions.
Really?
So I expect to be stupid until you're like 25. You're gonna take risk and live life and enjoy. So I don't know if I would change anything, but I would say, knowing, looking, you know, having that 20/20, you know, looking back and having hindsight, you know, I wouldn't change a thing. I would just say, don't beat up yourself too much.
Okay.
Don't get out of your own head. You know, you don't have to plan everything. You don't have to have everything, you know, structured and dress and straight. Just enjoy life. Do what you're doing. Play music. Travel the world. You know, have a rad time. Go in the Army. Jump out of airplanes. Do the thing. You know. And it's like, I wouldn't change a thing, man. I wouldn't change a thing.
Did you have you done all of those things that you just named?
And more. Yeah, but yeah. I think I'm on like my 4th career in life, and I'm 44. I'll be 45 in October. I started off life as a musician, traveled the world playing music, became a machinist, worked in machine shops, did some super rad stuff with that, and then joined the military. And come out of the military, and now I'm literally building motorcycles and, you know, and all this stuff. So it's super cool. So music, machinist, military, motorcycles. I don't know what the letter M is.
Yeah.
But super rad. I'll
Awesome.
take it. I'll take it all.
So that was kind of what I was going to ask. Like, that Triumph over there, like, you can't just decide one day you want to build a motorcycle and build that bike. Like, now I get it. Like, you were a machinist at one time.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have some, like, the skills to pay the bills as a machinist to build that bike.
Yeah. So I'm a 3rd generation motorcycle builder.
Okay.
By far the most popular.
Skillful?
Not skillful, but popular.
Okay.
My grandfather, so I've always said Weems Motor Co. is a 3rd generation business. However, my grandfather came home from World War II, and bought his very first motorcycle, a 44 Harley Davidson flathead, 45 cubic inch, every accoutrement you could get from the dealership. I got pictures of him in his military uniform with my grandmother sitting on the back of the bike. Super rad awesome. Loved motorcycles, rode motorcycles. Actually, how he met my grandmother was on that bike. Great story. He would ride up and down the street in front of her house and stand up on the back seat and surf it.
What?
And so my grandmother didn't like him at all. And it was my great grandmother that told my grandmother, said, you better go out on a date with that guy before he kills himself. And that started their relationship. So super cool. He retired from the Air Force and went to work in the prison system. And he was teaching bikers, like the 1%er guys that were arrested in prison. He was teaching them how to work on motorcycles. And in prison system, they were building choppers in the prison. I have some of the most rad pictures of motorcycles that got donated to the museum for small engine repair.
Yeah.
They were turning them into choppers. Super
Really?
rad. Yeah, like these prisoner guys, like sitting on these like single cylinder Ducatis all raked out, super long front end, rad stuff.
Really?
So yeah, so that influenced my dad. My dad grew up very much in the motorcycle culture, custom motorcycle builder, you know, building stuff in his backyard, building some super cool stuff. And
So, and your dad would have been in really the dawn of like chopper time,
Yeah.
like 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
maybe even late 60s. I don't know how old your dad is.
Yeah, late
But, like,
60s, he was starting to dabble in it, but definitely the 70s, like he was all in it.
Like the real
And-
golden years of choppers.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I've got pictures of him on some rad little choppers, and I'm like, oh. So he had when I was about 4 or 5 years old, he had a 1949 Triumph, and he was actually building it in our living room. The old biker, you know, the thing that the bikers did back in the day, and so I remember just vaguely, like foggy memories of that motorcycle, but while he was at work during the day, he was a welder by trade. I would take his tools and act like I was working on his motorcycle that was in the living room. It was a toy to me, whatever. And my mom will tell you that I was taking parts off of it, like unbolting stuff that he had bolted on there. So he came home from work one day and caught me messing with the motorcycle, and you know, and I just hightailed it out the back door because I fixed to get my ass whooped. So, but that was the first motorcycle I ever touched, was that 49 Triumph. And as I grew older, did the music, military and everything, and I said, you know, if I ever get into motorcycles, I want to build Triumphs, because that's what I remember, that first little bike, and that's what inspired me, and that's why I've just been like on this Triumph train of, you know, that's what I do, man. Super cool.
Cool, man. How old were you when you got your first?
So the story is, I was in the military, special operations parachute rigger, and going on my first deployment to Iraq. And before I left, I was talking to my dad, and I said, hey, look, if I make it back, I want to build a Triumph. So keep your ear to the ground, see if you can find one. And I went to Iraq, and that was 2004, and came home from that deployment. Came back down here to South Tennessee where my parents live, and just to visit them after the deployment, and Dad's like, hey, come outside, I want to show you something. And he had gifted me a 1972 Triumph Bonneville that was fully restored, amazing, immaculate bike.
Wow.
And I was so thankful for it. It's super cool that, you know, I still had that connection with my dad and motorcycles and everything. And then the bike, I loved it, but it was too nice. Like, it was fully restored. I was looking for something to make a little ratty bobber chopper out of, you know, something I
Right.
could build myself and do. And so I was like, almost immediately after getting that bike, I was already on the hunt for the next one. And then it's like crack. I say I've probably owned, I know my wife is not going to be listening to this, so we're saying, I would say probably at least 40 Triumphs that I've owned.
Really?
Yeah, a
Just
lot.
Triumphs?
Just Triumphs. Now, my whole life, and I've only, outside of Triumphs, I've owned one BSA and one Harley Davidson. My brother gifted me a 2005 Super Glide Custom for doing the, not the autism, but doing the charity bike with Forgotten Angels, the Triumph that's at the museum now. So he gave me a motor, gave me a Harley.
Gotcha.
And I loved that bike. It was super cool. but people would, especially on my YouTube channel, people would give me crap for riding a Harley, knowing that I was a Triumph guy. So here in the last few months, I actually dropped keys with a friend of mine straight up for a Triumph in 2008 Bonneville. I don't like new motorcycles. If it's older than me, I'm in.
Right.
So that key drop was like, everybody's like, oh, your brother gave you that motorcycle. He's in there. I asked my brother before. I was like, hey, he was like, it's your bike, do whatever. It was actually his ex-wife's motorcycle.
Yeah.
He's happy with it being gone. So no, super cool.
So what'd you wind up doing with that bike?
With the Harley? Or
the key drop bike.
The new one.
Yeah.
The new one. So
are you chopping it up or what?
No, I have so many bikes, and it's all the bikes that I have are older than me. I was born in '78, so I love anything before '78. Majority of them are before 1962 that I have. I currently have 14 Triumphs.
Do you get involved with pre-unit Triumphs also? That's
all I focus on.
Okay.
And
I'm not really a Triumph guy, but when did they go unit, pre-unit? What was the year?
This is the way I explain it to people. So 1962 was the last year for pre-unit.
Okay.
It's where the engine and the gearbox was separated. Two separate units, like a big twin Harley. 1963, they went to unit construction. It's one housing that has the gearbox and the motor together. And what I tell people, they're looking at getting a Triumph or wondering about them, I focus on pre-units because to me they're more valuable, more rare. A unit Triumph to me is like a Sportster to you. They're out there, they're available, they're affordable.
Right.
So it's like a Sportster. A pre-unit is like an old
like
panhead or a knucklehead. When you do find them, they're expensive and you're going to pay up for it. You got to dig a little deeper in your pocket. So they're a little bit more precious, and that's why anytime I come across a pre-unit, I scoop it up. Hell, I just did a YouTube video a few months back. I flew all the way from Tampa to San Diego to buy a motorcycle and then trailered it all the way back home.
Really?
Just to save it from getting chopped up.
Wow, and this is a pre-unit Triumph.
Yeah, it's a 1956, which is cool because my dad was born in '56. It's actually, I have 4 1956 Triumphs. So
wow.
Super rad. If you have a 56 panhead, however, let me know.
All right.
I mean, I might dig in my pockets a little bit deeper, but reason being is my dad was born in '56, and me and him were looking for a 56 panhead for about 20 years, and just could never find one for sale. And so I'm all the time looking for that. So if my next Harley I build is going to be either my grandfather's 44 flathead or a 56 panhead. So.
Wow. Well, man, panheads are already very expensive, but even those 45-inch flatheads are getting very expensive, man.
Yeah.
I used to say like that's the only old Harley I'll really ever own. I'm putting a panhead together now, and I've had a panhead.
What year is it?
This one's a 63. No, this one's a 63 motor and a 50 frame.
Oh, cool.
And I had a 50 before, but I always said like I'll never own anything really old except for an old flathead.
Yeah.
But even now, flatheads are like they're almost what panheads cost now.
Yeah.
They used to be really cheap.
I love old stuff.
Yeah.
I love old stuff. Like I said, anything older than me is rad. I don't care if it's a Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha. If it's older than me, I think it's cool.
Have you got into the Hondas?
I have not.
I like the older Hondas.
I built a 1977 CB750F Super Sport for my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Only because I rescued it from sitting beside the barn and rusting to the ground. I was like, hey, just let me build it. You cover the parts, I'll build the bike. And it was super rad. It was outside of my wheelhouse. I really enjoyed it. But the biggest thing right now for me is I'm building a 1929 JAP.
Wow.
And I've been wanting to get involved with the Sons of Speed Racing. And Billy Lane, I've been asking him for years, and he wouldn't let me build a Triumph. And this is for me and you and all the people listening to this podcast. I met up with Billy one day and I said, hey, can I do this? And he's like, what are you wanting to build? And I was like, a Triumph. And he looked me straight in the eye, serious as all get out. I'm not lying here, not exaggerating. He said, no, it would be an unfair advantage.
Really?
And I get it, because Triumphs are so much lighter, they're designed for short racing, and I get it. It would blow those flatheads away on the track.
Right.
But I told him, I was like, I'm not interested in competing. I want to get out on the track and enjoy it. I'm 44. I have a goal by the time I'm 50 is I want to do 5 different types of professional racing. And I've already done drag racing. I just did the Biltwell 100 desert racing. So Sons of Speed is the next goal, to get out and do some vintage circle track racing. And then after that, I want to build a vintage MotoGP bike to race at Barber.
2-stroke?
No, I'm going crazy. I want to build a 200cc or less motorcycle to race at Barber, and so I could just turn
Barber vintage days.
Yeah. And just hold the throttle wide open and just push that little 200 whatever to its maximum. I have 3 bikes right now that
can do that.
That can do that. I have a 1953 Triumph Terrier 150cc, and I've got 2 Triumph Cub 200cc's. So that's the 4th, is to do a vintage GP, and the last one is the big one for me, and that's do a land speed racing bike out of Bonneville.
Yeah.
So that's like the
what are you thinking for that?
It's all going to be Triumph.
But a modern unit construction.
I don't know.
Something that'll
it probably is going to be a pre-unit, because it's just, I love pre-units. There's, nothing against unit. It's like, but it's like, would you build a Panhead or would you build a Sportster?
Right. Yeah, there's a big difference.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's like, I want to do something that's a little bit cooler, a little bit more, the only reason I'm doing this 29 JAP is to get into Sons of Speed. He wouldn't let me build a Triumph.
Okay.
So I wanted to do it, but everybody knows me as being a British bike guy, predominantly Triumph, and I came across this engine, and I reached out to Billy and said, hey, could I build this? And he was like, absolutely, because JAP, a lot of people look at the motor, they say, oh, a Jap motor, and I was like, well, it's not Japanese, it's a guy's initials, John Albert Pritchwitz. He was a racing engine builder from Britain, from 1920s to the early 50s, super rare, valuable motorcycles, or engines. He didn't build whole motorcycles, just the engines. And I came across this deal, and the only way he would sell me the engine is if I were to build a race bike out of it.
Really?
Because that's what it's supposed to be. And so I got a killer deal on this engine. I could have bought, put it this way, I could have bought 2 Harley Davidson JDs.
Really?
For what I paid.
That's what we're talking here.
Yeah, it's not cheap. But it allows me to get into Sons of Speed with a British engine. So the frame I've sourced is a 1936 Royal Enfield rigid frame. The front end is a 1942 wartime BSA M20 girder. So it's like I'm trying to keep things super old, like super cool, to fit that vibe that it's going to be. So
would this be like what you're putting together in some way, shape, or form? Would this have been what they had used to race in its day?
Yes,
okay.
very, very much so. Because those JAPs, people would buy the engine and put it in their bikes.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm basically taking that engine and putting it into a whole nother bike. The class that Billy said I would be racing in is called the Pea Shooter class, single cylinder. This is a single cylinder 600cc long stroke JAP motor. No brakes allowed and no gearboxes. So it's a direct drive system.
Wow.
So yeah, super rad, super crazy, but like I said, I'm not out there to compete. I'm just out there, I have that goal of doing those 5 different types of racing by the time I'm 50. I'll be 45 this year. I only got a few more years. I gotta get on the ball.
I'm not really too on the ball, but Tyler at Lowbrow, he does land speed Triumph bikes.
Yeah.
I think he's running around. Is that even possible?
What's
a land speed goal for you?
Just like with the Biltwell 100 I just did, and just like with drag racing, my goal is to cross the starting line.
Okay. Just be in it to win it.
Just be
and that's it. You're a winner. You're there.
Yeah, I competed. I was part of it. That's all that matters. I'm not about. It's just like coming to shows like this. I'm not here to win a trophy. I'm not here to, if I win some money, that's great for gas money, whatever.
Right.
It's like, I'm not about accolades or anything like that. I just want to be a part of it and just be there. And so when I, even with this bike, people ask me, it's like, what's your goal? What do you think it's going to run? And I'm like, we've done a lot of vintage drag racing with the bike that we've been touring with right now. I have a goal to be in the 7s and with this drag bike. So
damn.
Well, when I say that, I have to clarify a little bit.
In the quarter or the 8th?
8th mile.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, dude, that's a rocket ship.
No. So yeah, we race the it's a vintage drag bike, nostalgic class, 8th mile bracket racing. So we pull up against, old Kawasaki H2s, and we'll be up there against CB 750s, and just a little bit of everything. Old Harleys, we race it all. And it's not, once again, it's not about competition.
Right.
Bracket racing,
especially bracket racing. You're racing yourself.
Yep. You're trying to match that time, and it's just keeping those old motorcycles out there so other people can experience them. It's just like coming to the shows. Just I bring these Triumphs here so people can experience them. We put these bikes on the tracks. I rode that 56 Triumph in the Biltwell 100 just so people can see that these bikes are still out there. You can still do this fun stuff. Yeah, I'm not competing against a brand new KTM, adventure bike. I'm not. But I'm out there just having just as much fun as that guy is. I think I'm probably having a little bit more fun because it's like I'm part of that bike. I have to kick start it. I don't just push a button.
Yeah.
I actually interact mechanically with that bike in order for it to work. And so it's visceral, man. It's super cool to just do it and be out there, be part of it. And I'm stoked to hopefully hit that goal by the time I'm 50.
I think
I don't want to be a
it.
60-year-old sitting on the salt flats, Maybe after I've done it, but not.
Yeah. No, dude, I mean, just judging by how long I've known you so far and like what I do know about you, I don't think you're falling shy of any goals. You're
it goes back to
you're in it to win it, dude.
Well, it goes back to, like I said, live every day, do everything to the best of your possible ability.
Right.
And I might not, I might drop dead tomorrow.
Right.
But I want to say everything that I've done up until that point, that I put my all into it. And that goes to how I treat my kids, how I treat my wife, how I do my jobs, how I interact with my friends, the attention I give to people who watch my YouTube channel. I want to, make sure that I'm doing everything to my best of my ability. And, I've lived a young life where I was selfish, single, did what I want to do. Now it's like so much more to that, I do stuff for my viewers on YouTube.
Right.
I got a video coming out in 2 weeks where I talk about, remember those books, Choose Your Own Adventure? It was a book you read, and it got to a certain point, and you faced with a thing, and it's like, if you answer this way, turn to page 56, and if not, so it's like you choose the adventure. So I'm doing that on my YouTube channel. I'm like literally laying out 4 motorcycles, and I'm letting my viewers pick which one I build next.
That's so cool.
Now, each one of those is trying to meet that goal of those,
a land speed bike or something.
The land speed bike, it's like, that's going to be a big feat because I know Tyler really well. I know the class that he races in, and I'm not out there to try to break any records. I just want to get out there and run the salt, and that's kind of like the end goal. I think at that point I can say I've done all I wanted to do, and now I can pass the torch on to my kids and let them take the 4th generation, which they've already done. They are both already built bikes. They're 13 years old and 16 years old, built bikes that's already won awards, and I'm like,
damn.
I told my daughter, I was like, you can have my welder, all my tools, I'm done.
Yeah.
so they're out there winning awards as teenagers and can't even ride motorcycles yet. So it's like super rad.
That's so cool. So like one of them or both of them hopefully be a 4th generation builder.
Yeah, I think it's going to be my daughter.
Wild, dude.
Yeah,
really?
My son has autism. We did the 75 Sportster for the National Autism Charity. It's doing great, raising money. You listen to this, go check out the 5dirtybikers.com. They're a podcast.
Yeah.
And they're actually raffling that bike off to raise money for an organization called the Autism Society of America. Great organization. You can see that whole build process of us building that bike. So he has autism. First time he's ever welded, first time he's ever fabricated was on that motorcycle that somebody's going to win for 25 bucks. Super stoked to be a part of it. But my daughter, on the other hand, she's all about bikes. I can't get on a bike without her wanting to go for a ride. And she's 13, and it came up on Facebook Marketplace, 1970 Triumph Tiger 500 numbers matching with the title. Guy wanted like dimes for it, and I went and scooped it up because I couldn't say no. Just throw it in the pile with the rest. And on the way to go pick up the bike, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give that to my daughter. And so for the last 5 months, she's been building that bike, and I've just kind of sat over her shoulder, making sure things are safe, and taught her how to weld, taught her how to fabricate, paint, do all that stuff. And she built that bike and just unveiled it. First show, won People's Choice. Damn. And then won a special trophy from Paul Tuttle Sr., Orange County Choppers. And so I think she's got bitten by the bug, because literally on the way home she was like, can I build another one? I'm like, girl, you haven't even ridden the one you built yet. So like, she's got the bug, so she'll be the next generation for it, definitely.
Damn.
It'll be cool, because not only
cool.
am I passing on the 4th generation, but it's a female builder. And
yeah,
there's not very many of those out there. I had some of my call friends, that have built bikes and stuff, so it'd be neat to see her take the torch and run with it, man. Super rad.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of leads me into my next question. What kind of got you started down this path of the YouTube channel?
YouTube. So the story goes, I love building bikes. I don't like tech. I don't like sitting at a computer. I've never edited videos, never done any of that stuff, but I had some friends in the YouTube community that knew me as a bike builder that kept saying, you got to do this. There's nobody on YouTube that are building show bikes like to your level, going across the nation, showing these things. You got to do it. You got to do it. And they kept bothering me, and I said, you know what? Just to shut you up, I'm going to do one video, and that's it. So I did this one video, and on that one video, I actually was monetized on YouTube from my very first video. Yep.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's what I said. And I was like, and I've had friends who have been doing YouTube for years and never become monetized. And it's not an easy feat.
No, I'm just starting it now, and I'm like, oh my God, this is
a lot of
an
work.
uphill battle, man.
Yeah. And so I said, you know what? Instead of, blowing it off like it's not that big of a deal, because I didn't want any of my friends to think, I'm stubbing my nose to them or anything. That I was like, okay, well, what does that look like for me? What does it look like for my family? What does it look like for my career in motorcycles? And I had to figure out a balance of, like, I didn't want to take time away from my wife and kids just to do YouTube. So I was like, how do I incorporate that into what I'm doing? And what balance, how many videos can I do? So I quickly figured out I could do one video a week. And so I literally, my YouTube channel is 2-part format. It's either called In the Shop or On the Road. In the Shop, I'm either working on a bike, fabricating something, or talking about a motorcycle or something. Or on the road, I'm either physically riding a motorcycle or doing events like this, going on the road to a motorcycle show, but it's all motorcycle content. And so anytime I'm out doing anything in the garage or at an event, I just bring my camera with me, and if the mood strikes, grab it out, do the thing, and have a blast doing it. I just keep myself very personable. I wanted people to know the same person they see on YouTube is who they see at the show, and that's why it can be a vulnerable experience, because people get exposed to what things are happening in your life.
Right.
'Cause, I still am diagnosed with epilepsy. I still have all of these things going on. My family, my kids, it's life. And how do you do that being a custom motorcycle builder and a YouTuber? And people, I think that's what people enjoy, is the vulnerability of it. And they feel like they connected to you. And
like a real window into a part of your life.
Yeah. And it's been a blast, because the people I've met, the people that my kids have inspired, whether it be girls or people with autism, that's what it's all about for me. It's like that whole thing, paying it forward, because I've told people, especially in the motorcycle community, over and over and over, use your skills, what you do, to help somebody else. Whether it's your friend down the road whose bike's broke down, go help them out.
Right.
Take time, do what you have to do. You might be a tattoo artist, you could be writing a book, you can do whatever you do, whatever your skill, your talent, your ability, your calling, whatever you want to do, call it. Use that to help somebody else. And mine just so happens to be building motorcycles or doing YouTube. And like, I have people come up all the time, brand new YouTubers, like, how do I do this? What camera you use? What editing software? How do you, and it's just help people, man. Use what you got. It's good. I'm not a karma person. Like, I don't believe in the whole, karma thing, but I believe that every person right here on this earth, we are human beings and we should help other people. And good goes out, good comes back.
Yeah.
And I tell people, it's like, no matter what you're doing, right comes out right.
Yeah.
If you're that shady person, it might look all right for a while, but it's going to eventually come back and bite you in the butt. And
yeah.
I'm not that. I'm like, I'll shoot you straight. I was like, if I need to tell you a hard no or give you an honest advice, I'm going to give it to you. So it's like, that's just like, because I might die tomorrow, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It all goes back. It's a big circle.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think if there's anything in life that I like to say is like, just treat others how you would like to be treated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a Bible verse. I mean, if we want to take it right, right from that, I was like, hey, do unto others.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want anybody to rip me off, steal my stuff, talk about me behind my back, or look at me in a way that I'm not,
Yeah.
So I just be real with people, man. I was like, too many of us walk around with masks on. And my whole thing in life is I wore a mask for a long time, and I'm like, when I lay my head on the pillow at night, I want people, like, I want to know that, hey, okay, I was right. I did the right thing in these situations. So, and that's tough in a motorcycle environment, because not saying bad about anybody who builds custom motorcycles, but there's this
it's a wacky world, man.
There's this perception of, like, you got to be the hardcore mean face biker. I'm taking smiling pictures with Michael Lichter sitting on my chopper. I don't care, dude.
Right.
We're all having fun. We're having a blast. If you're not enjoying building motorcycles, get out of it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, figure it out. Enjoy it.
Well, that's kind of what I like about this. It's just anything you do around motorcycles, man. Like, nobody is getting wealthy here.
No, there's absolutely no money.
There's no wealth being
Don't watch
spread.
this being inspired to start building motorcycles to make money, because there is no money in custom motorcycles. I've told so many people I make more money on YouTube than I would ever make doing motorcycles. So start a YouTube channel. Yeah,
and that is solid advice, dude. I was in another shop in Arizona recently who I didn't do a show with, so don't start spreading rumors or whatever.
Was it Jeremiah from Love Cycles?
No, I won't. I'll tell you after the show. I won't say it on here. I'll do a show with
Jeremiah's
him someday.
a good dude.
But anyways, he has a YouTube channel, and he said he's made more money on YouTube than he ever has turning wrenches.
Yeah.
It's just, he loves it. He's very similar to you. He's just doing his own thing, and charities, raffles. That's how those bikes are moving.
Yeah.
And he's getting to live his dream. Someone's getting to have his dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
A charity's getting donated to.
Mm-hmm.
He's making a better live. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy.
I've done a lot of charity work, and you got to be really careful when you're approaching projects. And I've had to turn down some projects before for charity work, just because of I want to make sure it's right. It's the right charity. They're doing the right thing, because when I do a charity build, I don't charge a dime. Like, my time, my talent, my energy is my donation to the project. I've never taken a dime for labor for any of my stuff, for any of my charity builds.
Okay.
I'm like, I tell them, you cover the parts, everything that comes from me is free. I was like, so that's my gift to the donation. And I'm not saying that as a piece, that's the worst business example to do. If you're trying to run a business, you'll never, make it.
Yeah.
But it goes back to saying, it's like, do good.
Right.
And I think using that talent that I have to do good is worth it in the end. Whether it's the accolades, the pat on the back, the magazine feature, I could care less about that stuff. It's me knowing that my talent is going to help somebody else, and whether it's raising money or raising awareness or whatever it may be, that's what it's all worth, because you can't put a dollar amount on that. For a motorcycle that's in the Peterson Museum, I could have never expected that to ever happen. So it's like, that's super cool, but I didn't do it for that. I did it so that they could get more kids off the street, that they can build more tiny houses for these kids. That's why I did it. And to see those kids that they bring in and put in those houses, I was like, I played a part in that.
Right.
It's like, that's rad. I was like,
Right.
I couldn't put a dollar amount on that. So super cool. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and if you don't really love motorcycles too, like we were saying, you're not going to last anyway. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like a guy.
Don't come in here thinking you're making a buck. So.
No, and it's like a guy like you that's been doing it forever. It's like, you know, you gotta love it. You have to.
There's a passion to it, and you know, I'm all the time buying bikes.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't build customer bikes. I build my bikes. You want to buy my bike, you can buy my bike, but I'm not going to recreate this idea you have in your head. I've done that before, and it's not fun. And you know, to have the freedom to do what I want when I want on my own schedule, no deadline. I mean, don't get me wrong, you get involved in like shows like Born Free, you do have bad deadlines, but to be able to do your thing without a stress of somebody calling you every day and wondering what the progress is, man, I don't deal with that. I was like, my garage is my place of therapy. I go in there and I could either choose not to think about a thing, or I could think about life. I can, you know, whatever. It's my place of refuge. Don't come in there. Don't call me. Like, I don't want that. That's my safe place. And my family, you know, they love that, because nothing's greater than working on a motorcycle part and your kid walk out there and, what you doing, Dad? And I'm like, sit there and got the opportunity to show them what they're doing. And
right.
I always keep my garage door open. And I made a point when I got back into motorcycles after all my medical stuff, I said, as soon as my wife comes home from work, I'm done. I don't care if I'm on the lathe machining a part, machine down, I'm done for the night. I'm not taking any time away from my marriage. You know, my kids, they come home from school and they get involved in the garage, so it becomes an interaction with them, because, you know, I tell parents all the time, meet your kids where they're at. And that's hard to do, because 9 times out of 10, your kids are going to have a different interest in you. My son with autism, he's super into music. So what do? I meet him where he's at. I take him to concerts. We go to like mosh pits and hang out. Dad's getting older. I sit at the bar and drink my rum and cokes and watch him do his thing. But you know, I meet him where he's at, and it was really hard having a daughter, because I'm like, oh gosh, and she's like 1000% girl, you know, pink and blah. Yeah, it's like, how do I meet her where it's at? And I didn't realize that she was watching me in motorcycles.
Right.
So that's where I meet, and I'm like, that's cool, because I'm into that too. I'm into music, and so I'm blessed to be that. But you know, no matter where you're at as a parent, meet your kids where they're at. I don't care if they're in video games. Go freaking sit in their room take an hour off of your freaking phone. Go sit down and play a video game with your kid. Yeah, they're going to destroy you because they're way better at it. But you're spending time with them, and that's going to change their perspective of you beyond anything. Take your daughters out on a date. Go let them get their nails done, you know, whatever they're into. Do it. Just do it. Spend time with your kids, because we only have them for a short amount of time.
Right.
And then we get to go back and be selfish again after they're gone. We can go vacation and do all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, eventually they're going to not want anything to do with you, man. And I feel like for the age your kids are, you've done pretty good that they still actually think you're cool.
Well, that's it. It's spending time with them where they're at, you know. And don't get me wrong. There was a phase where my son, and autism, kids go through phases of what they're into. And my son was hugely into video games. And I'm like, and he's really good being autistic. That's just the way he was. He was so good that we had, you know, at 12 years old, he was competing in Super Smash Bros. Tournaments against 20 and 30 years old, and like rocking it out. And I was meeting him where he was at, taking him to these competitions and letting him do all these things. But it was that was a challenge for me because I love working in the garage. I had to step away from the garage for an hour and sit down. And I'm like, hey, can we play Super Mario Bros? And I'm like, and then I would like break out the original NES, and like I was like, how much you want to bet that I can make it all the way through, beat the game with one character? And he was like, you can't do that. And I do it, rock it, because we grew up.
That was our generation.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, I can't do that. I'm like, but you're slaughtering me at like all these first-person shooters and stuff like that. I was like, but it was tough, you know.
Do you think he's eventually going to make a living doing that, you think? Like competitive gaming?
Well, he got out of it. Autism is phases.
Okay.
And so now he's super huge into music. He got like really big. It was a weird phase. So he started off in classical music, like Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and like super crazy. I was like, okay, I can kind of get this classical music. It's all right, not my dig, but okay. And that morphed into like, he got on this weird kick with Queen. Okay. I was like, okay, getting a little.
Dude, he's one of the best ever.
Yeah, like Freddie Mercury.
Have you watched some of those old concerts and stuff?
Dude, well,
dude, you go back and you're
him.
like, this guy is one of the best that's ever lived.
Yeah. And so he was like engulfed into it, and I was like, okay, I can dig that. And so then it just kind of like kept progressing, and he got into this kick where he was a huge Slipknot fan.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm in the motorcycle industry, and I've had the awesome opportunity to meet some cool folks. And so we were in Daytona, and Jim Root.
Yeah.
And so Jim came over, and we're hanging out and stuff like that. Took pictures, and I showed my son. He's like, "Oh my god!" So I took him to his first concert, was Slipknot, and did the whole thing with Slipknot and enjoyed it. And then it was like he just progressively got harder and harder music, and I was like, I dig it, because I was played in metal bands and hardcore bands and stuff like that in the early 2000s. And I was like, let's do this, man. And so his first show was this huge arena. The next show was like in this large club. We went and seen one of his favorite bands, Lorna Shore, death metal band, and I actually introduced him to Will Ramos, the lead singer, as his favorite vocalist, and he was just like fanboying out. And then it just progressed all the way down to, it got to the point where I was like, all right, this is the last concert I'm taking to. This is an underground show at a little dive bar. It's like band set up on the floor, everybody is just pits ravaging. And I was like, you got to be careful in these environments, because you get in the pit, you're gonna get. It's not just
dangerous.
It's not the Slipknot pit where everybody's just, oh, hey, have fun, bumping elbows. No, they're slinging fists.
Yeah.
I was like, so you got to be careful. And he's autistic, so it's like, how do you figure that out and work it out? And so it ended up being one of his raddest shows that he went to, but he was very scared, like reluctant, seeing everything that's going on. So, but yeah, now he's a metal vocalist, man. He's a screamer, dude. And
awesome.
I did a little bit of that growing up, and I'm like, he is way better than I could ever possibly be. So
really,
yeah.
Is he in his first band yet, or is he starting something?
Yeah,
what's up?
is. He's screaming it out, man, dude. He's like, he's so good at it. He's very talented at it, and I connected him with a few people, and they kind of coached him along the way. Dads can't be the coolest,
right?
But Dad knows some cool people that can, I could tell him all day long, this is what you should do, but he's not gonna listen to me. I'm just Dad. But I get some friends, and they're like, introduce him to some guys that are like in the hardcore bands from back in the day that he knew. I'm good friends with the guys from Under Oath, and like, hey, check out these guys. Like, you're friends with them? Yeah, they're just people, man. They're just people. Yeah. They're just cool people. And he's like, just to let them mentor him, and that's super cool for it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did you notice those two people that just walked over here? It's fucking weird.
What are they doing?
People are morons. I don't know.
Just coming to see what's going on?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey.
You're doing YouTube and that stuff. You always meet weird people, so.
Yeah.
Now, if you watch my channel, you're not weird, though. Okay.
Yeah, dude, tell them your channel. Tell them exactly where to find you.
Dude, it's YouTube. Check out Weems Motor Co. Instagram, weemsmotorco.tampa. My MySpace, I have no clue. Not on Grindr, not on TikTok. I'm not on all of those obscure ones. So yeah, mostly YouTube, Instagram, that's where people find me at. Find me at shows, come hang out, come say hi.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Check out the YouTube channel. A lot of cool
friendly
stuff.
guy. Yeah, YouTube is your real deal though. It's
my moneymaker.
Yeah.
I make more money doing that. So
yeah. Which is so cool, man. I wish I knew about this YouTube thing a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly thought you needed to be millions of subscribers to really make something, but dude, your average guy can make an average living just doing average stuff on YouTube. You could do it.
If we would have got started back, I think YouTube started in around 2009, I think. I don't know. Man, if we were on that first boat, we'd be millionaires.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you'd be swimming in it, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, I look at some of these YouTubers. I mean, I'm a low guy on the totem pole, and I say that to everybody. I do okay. But I look at, these other guys that are, million subscribers, and I'm like, I have friends who are like $500,000,
Yeah.
and I know how much they make.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn.
Pretty good, dude. It's pretty good.
I don't know. I wouldn't be the same person if I was making that kind of money doing YouTube. I think it would change me. I'm pretty sure it would. At least it would change my approach to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I want to keep my YouTube channel personable and being the same person on screen as I am at the show. So I think that kind of money and influence, I would be probably hard pressed to change maybe some of the stuff. I wouldn't. I mean, I just think the money would change me. I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, the YouTube.
But if you want to jump on my Patreon and, you know.
Do you have Patreon too?
I do have Patreon.
All right.
I forgot about that
Patreon.
one. Yeah, we got some. I love my patrons. They're super cool. I come to events like this, and if a person is a patron and they're at an event like this, I always make it a point to get them on camera, because those guys donate to me like out of the kindness of their heart, you know.
Yeah.
The only benefits they get like, you know, some money. They get a percentage off on my web store. They get to see all of the videos before, and if they have a question about a video or how I do something, I literally make raw cut videos for my patrons. Like, they're like, hey, how did you polish that, or how do you do this? And I literally just make an unedited raw video and post it
just for the Patreon.
Just for those guys.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, they donate to me out of the kindness of their heart every month, and I'm like, dude, that's rad. I'm like, I don't even, you know how to thank them enough for doing that. So I get them on camera, get them on the videos, and they're at the end of every video. They're in the list of credits, you know, and every quarter I do a giveaway for them, and like, you know, they basically get shout out right at the end of the video and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, man, because it's, once again, it's like paying it forward to those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ask for anybody to give me any money. So if you're willingly donating, I don't care if it's $5, $10, $20 a month, that's rad.
Yeah.
It supports what I'm doing. So it's super cool.
Yeah, and I don't talk about it very much on here, which I should, but also I wouldn't mind if you go to my Patreon.
Hey, you know what? You know what?
I'm not even comfortable.
I'm gonna go. I didn't know you had it.
And if you don't want to do Patreon, there's like 3 different levels.
We're selling Patreon right now to everybody that's listening and watching. What's my perks when I sign up?
Well, perk number 1 is you get this episode.
Oh, sweet! I was there in person.
It depends on the perks, man. It depends on what level, but you can get shout outs every episode.
Very cool.
Whatever, free merch, same thing. Like, we'll literally do an episode with you or whatever.
Rad,
I send some sticker packs, merch packs, stuff like that.
Nice.
Right now, I'm still doing a giveaway.
Can we share
with
a
some
house?
Donations and stuff?
Can we share a house in Milwaukee?
We could do that. Absolutely. I think I'm pretty sure if I could predict the future, maybe in February, that would fit into my schedule.
Dude, that was a rad Airbnb, was it not?
Dude, it was sick.
I was like, oh
so
my gosh.
sick.
And all the people that were there, you know, John and Craig from EasyCo, it's like, and all the guys, there was a couple guys from the Five Dirty Bikes.
Crazy, I didn't even know some of the people were there. And then afterwards we were messaging, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know we were
like in the room across from you.
Dude, like in the other wing of the house. I'm like, this place it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
Yeah, definitely I go back. We have to do that again. Just get a group, a bunch of people, and fill a house and just have a blast.
Dude, I wouldn't mind going back to that house every year.
No,
like,
absolutely.
Dude, it was so cool.
And it was affordable. I mean, it slept
so.
16 people, and then what was it, like $140 for the whole weekend a person?
Yeah.
You can't find a hotel for that. That's like, come on. Plus,
and it
it's
was awesome.
a rad house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Haunted probably, but yeah.
Maybe after we stayed in it.
I don't know.
No, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. Oh, know what else I do too, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you ever heard of this. If you don't want to sign up for a monthly thing, like you don't want to do subscription stuff, it's called Buy Me a Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And you could just go do a one-time donation, $1, $5, whatever.
Yeah, sweet, dude.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple people do that, like on YouTube and stuff, and I was like, it's a really cool idea. I've never I would definitely say buy me a beer. I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker. Every once a month, probably I'll have a coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm down for beer. I mean, if you want to
I can see, right? Your shirt even says it.
Yeah, dude, that's it, man.
That's
Priorities right there. Yeah, it's like, you know, if you want to step it up, I mean, hey, buy me a bourbon. You know, it's like, come on, man, let's have some drinks. Let's go have a good time. Do you drink?
I do,
Coffee?
but not right now.
Okay.
So I got it. My goal, I've talked about this on the podcast, but my goal is 1 year. I think every year you should set some goals or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
I've set some lofty goals this year, and one of them was to just stay totally sober for 1 year.
Wow, dude.
And part of the reason for that also is because I need to be full-blown peak to achieve these other goals.
Oh,
so I'm in it to win it, man.
Yeah, I have to go
I'm
back
chasing
and
some
catch,
dreams.
I have to go back and watch the listen to the podcast and like see what these goals are, because
Well,
I told
really-
you what mine were, so the races and stuff. But
I don't really particularly have an episode where I talk about them. I'm just saying, in a lot of podcasts since then, since September when I quit the drinking, it's come up like this right now.
Hyper-focus,
It's come up.
That's
So,
rad, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, so another part of my life, I actually lead a Bible study in a brewery. And,
Oh, no kidding.
It's super rad because
That'll get people in.
yeah, dude, it's super rad. I mean, it's like I tell people all the time. It's like, you know, it's like Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine, and I guarantee you that wine was not Boone's Farm. Yeah, it was probably the raddest wine you've ever had in your life. And so, like in an environment like that, I love it because, you know, I love drinking. I love beer. I love bourbon. I love it all. And, you know, part of my life, the spiritual side of life, you know, it's cool to join the two, because so much that people separate those two things, and, you know, just because of religion or whatnot, they think it's bad. And I'm like, no way, man, this is rad. Let's do this. Let's, you know, talk about, you know, what you're drinking, and let's talk about what this Bible verse says, you know, do unto others, like you said earlier. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's a cool environment. It's neat. It's the last thing I think I'd ever done in my life, but it's like super cool. So.
Is that like a real passion project for you? I mean,
It's, you know, so the way it came about was the brewery. It's called Levin Brewing. It's in Riverview, Florida. They are like literally a mile and a half from my house. So I was like, dude, I got a brewery right there, and if I drink too much, I could just walk home.
Yep.
That's rad. I'm like, cool. And so I was literally there the day they opened the doors, and super cool people, KJ and Jillian, owners of it, young people, and we were just talking about life, and he was telling me that his dad was a pastor and stuff like that, and my dad wasn't a pastor or anything. I kind of grew up in church and stuff like that, but, you know, never was like, this Bible beater. I don't believe in that. I'm not going to stand on the street corner and tell you that you're doing it wrong, because Jesus would have never done that. He doesn't do that. So I just want to be like Jesus. And so they asked me, like, hey, you know, my dad was a pastor. Like, would you be willing to, you know, do a Bible study here? And I told them no for like 2 years, and because I just didn't know what that would look like. And I'm like, I drink beer and I like the Bible. It's cool. And I was like, but like, what does that look like in a public environment? Like having intimate conversations with people, you know, about what they're going through in life and what the Bible says in reflection to it, while we're sitting there drinking a beer. And I'm like, I just couldn't figure that out, what that looked like. And one day I just said, hell, let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's just go up there and hang out if somebody wants to talk. And it's been the raddest thing, because it's built a relationship in that community of, you know, the brewery and stuff. You know, the people at the bar, you know, love those people. They may never ever step a foot in church, could care less about Jesus, could care less about the Bible, but they'll come over and ask the crazy questions that everybody in life has. You know, if God is so good, why would he allow child to die?
Right.
And if God's so good, why are these earthquakes happening? And, you know, it's like, I'm honest. I'm like, look, dude, I don't know. It's like, he's God, we're not.
Right.
He makes those decisions. And, you know, I'm just like, I'm here for the ride. And I tell people, I was like, look, we're all in this game of life. And if you want to call it God's little chess game, that's great. I just don't want to be a sacrificial pawn.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I want to live life and enjoy this thing. And, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm not in control. He's ultimately in control. And I'm building motorcycles and doing YouTube and hanging out with cool people like you. And, you know, you probably never even heard me say anything about Jesus, you know, since all the times we've hung out. I'm like, if I feel that we need to have a conversation, or you ask a question, then we'll talk about it. Until then, I was like, hey, let's go drink a beer. You know, let's go hang out and talk about motorcycles. I'm not here to shove Jesus down anybody's throat. That's not my job. And Jesus doesn't say to do that.
Right.
Jesus says, hang out with the cool people. Hang out with, he hung out with the prostitutes and, all these other people. It's my job is to do that. Hang out with those people, enjoy life, and if it comes up, we talk about it. If not, I'm not going to shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge you for doing something wrong.
I think if
We're all at
choppers were
different
around,
places.
he would have been building choppers instead
Dude,
of
he
being
would
a
have had
carpenter.
the raddest chopper.
Yeah.
He would have had the baddest thing in the world. I was like, you know it. He would definitely.
You should make a shirt that says Jesus would have rode a Triumph.
Don't give me any crazy
You
ideas.
should, dude. That is your shirt. That is your shirt, dude.
I love that. Jesus would have drove a Triumph.
Jesus would have rode a Triumph.
And it's got to have like
That's
a
your
David
shirt.
Mann style, like
Yeah.
picture on it.
Yeah. Dude, that's your shirt,
rad.
man.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Dude,
That's
let's
super
end
cool.
on that, man. We're about to run out of memory card and battery.
Hey, man.
A
I had a
little bit of here, a little bit of there.
Dude,
so
I loved it, man. I loved
this.
the
Yeah,
interview.
this is better than I thought, man. Like we were like, yeah, let's
Did you
just
think
do.
I was gonna be bad?
No, I thought the quality would be good, but what I meant is, we were like, let's just shoot for a half hour.
Yeah.
And we're at like an hour 5.
Wow, dude.
It's like boom.
Hey,
Yeah.
I told you, I was like, I can talk all day.
Yeah, no, you're awesome.
Now we need to go get
I always thought
barbecue.
the quality would be good. I just didn't think it would go this long.
Well, let's
Yeah.
go get some barbecue, and you can't have a beer, but I can buy you a coffee.
Yeah, I'm in, man.
Yeah, dude.
Let's do it too.
Yeah, awesome, Rob. Well, thank you for having
I've
me
been
on.
teasing myself. I've been drinking that bourbon coffee, actually.
Oh, that bourbon caramel?
Dude, beer and bourbon are my favorite. I can't wait to get back to them.
Yeah, dude. And that guy was in special operations. I had talked to that guy the other day.
really?
So, like, connections, we
That's
know
where
people.
the name comes from, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, Freedom Coffee. Yeah,
Awesome.
super cool, man.
Yeah, dude. So
Let you wrap it up,
dude,
man.
Thank you guys. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
And see you guys next week. And be sure to go follow Weems. I'm running out of words. He's the man. Hit him up.
I'm the man.
Seriously.
Cool.
Later.